Buena Vista Park, 2010. It would be a day that would change our life forever. It was right there at Buena Vista Park in Upper Haight that we realized that God was calling us to San Francisco.
But it really was that trip and that moment where we felt this is where we belong.
We went back home to our church that we were pastors at in Arizona, and we sat down with our lead pastor and we said, you know what, like we can't explain it. We don't know how this will work. We don't even know if it will work, but we just can't shake this sense that God is doing something in San Francisco and we're meant to be a part of it.
And not only that, but we started asking people to move with us. We asked quite a few people, a lot of friends.
Thinking no one was going to say yes. Like we just thought we're going alone, didn't think anyone was gonna say yes, but we were
it ended
totally
up
surprised.
that 23 people moved out here with us that year to help start something new.
Yeah.
And they're our heroes. We can't talk about Campus without them.
23 people sold homes, quit jobs, uprooted their lives to be a part of what God is doing here in San Francisco. And it is not an embellishment to say that this church does not exist without them.
Absolutely. And not only that, but a church that we didn't know but would become great friends with in the East Bay kind of took us under their wing and became our parent church, supporting us. And again, we can't tell the story without talking about New Life.
New Life Church, Pastor Doug and Crystal Heisel and the entire community there, they just invested so much, not just financially, but relationally. They gave us so much wisdom because we were 25 years old. Like, I have a decent beard now. I couldn't grow anything then. And we had no idea what we were doing. And so between 23 people giving up so much and New Life Church and Doug and Crystal Heisel giving so much, this church was finally able to get off of the ground.
And before we knew it, we had our first service on Sunday, October 13th, 2013, right at Presidio Movie Theater on Chestnut Street. It's still there today. It's such an incredibly special place for the Camus family.
And that's where it all began.
Come and stand before your Maker, full of wonder, full of fear. Come behold his power and glory, yet with confidence draw near. For the one who holds the heavens and commands the stars above is the God who bends to bless us with an unrelenting love. Rejoice, come and lift your hands and raise your
like 30 minutes before our first service, feeling excited, a little nervous, but more excited than anything else. Our team's doing a great job. Got sound check going on behind me. We're almost there. First service going down to the books today, baby. Yeah!
Well, it is opening day. I can't believe it's finally here. Our team is awesome. People are coming in the doors right now. We're so excited. Let's do it.
We are children of the promise, the beloved of the Lord. One with everlasting kindness, bought with sacrificial blood, bringing reconciliation to a world that longs to know the affections of a Father who will never let them go. Rejoice, come and lift your hands and raise your voice. He is worthy of all praise. Walk this path before us. He is walking with us still, turning tragedy to triumph, turning agony to praise. There is blessing in the battle, so take heart and stand amazed. Rejoice when you cry to hear me, hears your voice.
Oh man, I love watching that video. 10 years, but it feels like yesterday, kind of.
It does. I have mixed feelings on the video, man. I love seeing what God did, but I regret wearing that vest. That's my biggest regret. So I promise I won't do that again, Candace.
Oh my God. But I actually remember that those first few Sundays, and we had somebody come through our doors. I'll never forget this story. They were actually on their way to commit suicide that Sunday morning at the Golden Gate Bridge. They came to Canvas and their life was changed.
Yeah.
And I think that really sets up, like, we saw so much life change happening in those years.
You know, it was almost like every week, story after story of someone encountering the love of Jesus, experiencing community and belonging, and their life being transformed as a result. And we continue to see God do great things in our community, so much so, I mean, on 2019, that Easter in 2019, we had 800 people there for that Sunday gathering. It was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely crazy, and momentum just seemed to be on our side. And the church was growing, lives were being impacted, people were growing in community. We were giving away more into our city and into causes around the world than we ever have. I mean, we entered 2020 with so much momentum, so much vision, and so much excitement. And then on March 14th, 2020, everything changed.
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S. Here's what we know. A Washington State resident fell ill after returning from Wuhan, China.
And thank you so much for joining us on our first ever church Zoom. I actually don't know if any church has ever done a Zoom, like church-wide Zoom call before. So we might be just making history right now, which is kind of cool.
It's actually kind of eerie watching that clip again. It feels so long ago, and yet it also feels like yesterday.
It was very weird having church over Zoom. The first time was kind of exciting and fun, but it got old real quick.
It ended up being over 60 weeks that we weren't able to gather as a church community. 60 weeks of just massive disruption. I mean, San Francisco, of all cities in the United States, experienced the greatest exodus, and the neighborhood that experienced the greatest exodus of all as well was right here in the marina.
And I think that was one of the most heartbreaking things to walk through as a church as a whole. We had over, 70% of our community actually move outside of the city. So having to say goodbye to so many people that made this church what it is was really hard. Yeah, after we saying goodbye to so many people and seeing so much change and disruption, it really did feel like a lot of the dreams and excitement, it was all kind of dead at that point. That's what it really felt like. And so wondering, do we keep going?
Is this it? Has the door closed? Is our time up? And we just could never ever shake this sense that it's not over yet. And that's what made, when we were finally able to start regathering a little bit, so sweet. Because after 60 weeks of not really being able to be around anybody else, we finally got to form community again. Remember park pods?
Oh, I remember park
pods. You know, we socially distanced the whole thing, but it was so beautiful to be around people again. And then finally we were able to secure a new venue that was comfortable with having groups indoors, and that was at Fort Mason, right there at Southside Theater. And we were there for about a year, and things were going really well, and we were rebuilding, and there was some momentum starting up again. But then we found out that they were going to rent that space to another organization, and that we had to go. We found another venue right next to Southside Theater there at Fort Mason. It seemed like God answered our prayers, opened this door. We even moved all of our equipment inside of that space. And then the day after moving all of our equipment into that space, we learned, because of just a crazy dispute between the landlord and the person we were renting from, that we were not going to be able to be there. And so after 60 plus Sundays, a global pandemic, finally getting to rebuild and reopen, it felt like we were again brought back to ground zero. And while there were moments that we weren't sure if we could keep going or should keep going, the thing that helped us to keep going, besides God with us, was that you were with us.
Yeah.
That so many of you emailed us and texted us and called us and reached out to us, and you reminded us in a moment where we were just broken, you reminded us why we do what we do and that God isn't done with Canvas.
Hey, Canvas family. As all of you know, over the last couple months, it has been an extremely difficult season as we've been trying to find a new home for our church. In fact, saying it's difficult is an understatement. It has been a grueling season for myself and for our community. But I'm so excited to say that I believe that it will all have been worth it because God has provided us a brand new home for our church family.
God did a miracle because he opened the door here for us, right here at 385 Moraga Avenue in the Presidio.
And since then, we have seen God just do so much. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We've doubled since we moved from Fort Mason.
Yeah.
Our kids programming, I feel like we're breaking new records every week.
Yeah, we launched 12 groups.
Oh my gosh.
And we have around 100 people growing in community right now, more people serving on the Dream Team than ever before. And not only that, but we're making a difference outside the walls of this building. We are on pace to give over $100,000 to our local and global justice partners in 2023. And because of your generosity, we've already raised $865,000 in commitments towards our Here to Stay building campaign, which will turn this building we're in into a home, not only in the community, but for the community. It's gonna be such a blessing to San Francisco. I look back and I think to myself, God, I'm so glad we didn't give up.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we didn't walk away because we would have missed the miracles that we're seeing right now in Canvas.
When 23 people decided that they were going to move out of their city, leave their state, some sell their homes, all of them quit their jobs and move to a city called San Francisco to start at a church in a city that everyone called a graveyard for churches. These people left it all, risked it all, and gave it all, and there is no now if there was no faithfulness then. And little did they know that they were, through their prayers and through their faithfulness, creating a future that you and I are living in right now, but they did not wait for that future. They created that future through the present. You should know that the future is never actually created in the future, but the future is always being created today in the present. That the future is being shaped here and now. And today we are deciding as a church family what kind of future Canvas will have and what kind of future the movement of Jesus in San Francisco will have as well.
I believe more than ever now in the power of resurrection, because not only do we celebrate the story of resurrection through Jesus, but we celebrate the story of resurrection that's happened right here at Canvas. Yeah. This is resurrection. It felt like it was lost. It felt like it was dead and never going to come back. And yet God met us in the midst of all of that craziness, and he has resurrected this church. And my friends, I want you to know, God never raises someone back to life so they can go back to their old life, but so they can step into a brand new one. And I believe that God is inviting us to step into the new, to step into the future with boldness, with courage, with faith, and with perseverance, because what God has in store these next 10 years is going to be greater than anything we experienced in the first 10 years.
And that is truly where you come in, Canvas. You are a part of ushering in the next 10 years. And yes, we've been saying this from the beginning, but I've never believed it more. The best is truly yet to come.
Canvas couldn't start without 23 people willing to sacrifice and be a part of that launch team. And I'm telling you right now, Canvas cannot launch into our greatest days yet without you committing to being a part of turning that vision into a reality. Canvas, the future is so bright, and we cannot wait to see what God is going to do in and through our church in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. Happy birthday, Canvas.
Happy 10 years!
10 years, let's go.